What's up, good peoples? All right, so today I want to talk about my husband and I's move into our new place and the disaster that it turned out to be. Okay, there is a lesson in this, so make sure you stick around until the end. Before I get into it though, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, if you're just discovering me, I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, I'm going to ask that you like the video and leave a comment below if you find this video to be insightful, motivational, inspirational. Okay. All right. So as most of you know who have been following me, my husband and I have been preparing to move. I've talked a lot about boxes being all over the house and how, I haven't really been consistent with my creating videos and uploading them because of this move. Well, we are finally in our new place. It was not without hiccups, which I'm going to get into right now. All right. So we booked movers. Okay, we booked movers. We used the site that we had never used before to book movers. And we decided to go at this site at the recommendation of someone. And plus, we were told that we could find, reliable help at a reasonable rate, right? So we decided to just go ahead and use it. Now, I will say that I did not do my due diligence in reading the fine print. I should have done that. I did not do that. So I will own up to that part of the disaster that ensued. All right. But anyway, I booked these movers through this site. And a couple of days before it was time for us to move, I tried to contact them in order to schedule the move. And I couldn't reach them. Initially, I wasn't upset about it. I didn't panic about it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave this message. They'll call me back and then we'll just go from there. But they never called me back. And I had left several messages and I called them throughout the day, the next day, and still nothing. So then I contacted the site on which I booked them and spoke to a representative there, told them what was going on and asked, what my options were. Could we receive a refund? And so they said you could, but it's going to take several days before it hits your account, right? I was like, okay, that's not going to do. I didn't say this earlier, but we had to prepay for the service. Okay. All right. So they told us that the most that they could do is issue us a credit and we could use that credit to book another mover on their site because the credit would be made immediately. So I was like, okay, well, let's just go with that. And they offered in the meantime to try to contact the vendor themselves. So while they were doing that, they issued the credit. I went on their site, tried to find another moving company that could, fit us into their schedule. And unfortunately, I couldn't. They were either already booked or we were outside of their service area, right? Fortunately, though, a few hours later, the moving company that we originally paid for through this site called me back. And so we were able to, get on their books for the next day. But we were located outside of their service area. And that's where I did not read the fine print. So because we were outside of their service area, we had to pay an additional fee, which was pretty much the same amount we had already paid on the site. So in other words, we paid double. We paid double. Okay. That was completely outside of our budget. But because it was crunch time, there was nothing else we could do about it. Right. So we went on ahead, we coughed up the extra money and they showed up the next day, 2 hours late. Now, I will say it wasn't their fault because their truck caught a flat tire on the way. And it took a while before they could change the tire. Okay, so I'm not going to fault them for that, but they were 2 hours late. So when they got there, I gave them a tour of the house. I showed them the items that we specifically wanted them to load onto the truck, right? So then, they got to moving, right? Got to loading up the truck. And when they had finished and were ready to go to the new house, I noticed that they had left some stuff off the truck, right? And so I said, hey, you know, you guys forgot a few things. And so the owner was like, well, you know, if we put those items on the truck, you know, it may cause some things to shift. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I don't care what shifts. I had pointed this stuff out to you guys when we did the tour. So I don't even understand how it got left behind, because throughout the move, I kept reminding you all, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this, right? This is what I said in my head. I didn't say it out loud because I knew I was going to have an attitude. So I said, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay, but I really need these things to go onto the truck. So they moved the stuff onto the truck. And as we were getting ready to go, I saw something else that they had left behind. And so by that time, my husband was like, Monika, just forget about it. Okay, I'll come back and I'll get it. Right. All right. So we get to the new house and they're unloading, and I'm pointing to where certain things should go, like the, you know, the big pieces of furniture. And then it's time for me to go tutor. I didn't want to leave because I wanted to make sure that things got to where they were supposed to be, right? Not saying my husband is not responsible, because he is, but you know, as a woman, you know, we tend to pay attention to details, right? And so I just wanted to be there. But unfortunately, because they started 2 hours late, it kind of cut into the time I needed to go to work. So I was like, you know, I told my husband, I said, please make sure that they put everything where it's supposed to be, please. He was like, okay, I'll make sure, right? So I go to work, I come back home, and for the most part, everything is where it's supposed to be, for the most part, right? I noticed that there was a box labeled kitchen in the second bedroom. So I moved it into the kitchen. And I also noticed that one of the boxes had opened, and the books and the things that I had packed in that box had fallen out. And one of the items that had fallen out was this. This is my daughter's award that she had won or had earned when she was in high school. She was in chorus, and I'd saved it. And now it's in pieces. So I was very upset about that. Very upset about that. But I was like, okay, just woosah, right? All right. So the next day we get up, we go back to the old house because there were a few things that we had left there that we needed to pick up, right? And I go downstairs to where the laundry room is. Y'all know when I start laughing like that, it's about to be some foolishness. I go downstairs to where the laundry room was. Y'all, why was the door wide open? No, I don't mean unlocked. I don't mean cracked. It was wide open. So when they took the washer and dryer out from the laundry room and they went out the back door, they never closed it. So it had been open all night. It had been open all night. By that time, I was livid. I was absolutely livid. And I told my husband about it, and I was like, this was the worst experience that I've had with movers ever. I said, I'm not being over the top and I'm not being dramatic. Like, this is ridiculous. Mind you, one of the movers, right? One of the owner's movers kept calling my husband asking for a tip. Y'all, why? I was like, what? First of all, why does he have your number? He was like, well, I mean, I told him that, you know, at that time, I didn't really have the tip, but I would send it to him through Cash App. I said, why he kept calling my husband about his tip? When I say I was livid, by this point, I was livid. And I'm telling you this because even though I know some of you are probably saying you should call them and you should rip into them, or you should write a nasty review. And that is why I'm talking to you about this. The enemy wants nothing more than to get us out of character, so that people will say, see, they're supposed to be Christians and look how they're acting. I'm not saying that we don't have the right to be upset about things. I'm not saying that we should, just tolerate anything, any type of mistreatment. I'm not saying that, but we have to be careful in how we respond to situations, and we have to be careful in how we do things. Yes, I am going to write a review of my experience of the company. Yes, I'm going to outline in detail, all of the things that they did that was not professional and worth the money that we paid out. But I couldn't do it at that time. If I would have done it at that time, it would have been ugly. I'm telling you right now. It would have been ugly. Okay. So I had to wait. I had to wait until I got my mind right. I had to wait until my emotions were under control. I had to wait until my spirit was right, because we're supposed to live by the spirit. Okay. We're supposed to walk by the spirit and not by the flesh. And so it's important that we don't allow the enemy to use situations that are upsetting, situations that make us angry, to cause us to move out of alignment with, our relationship with God, with his spirit. And so, that's what I wanted to share with you all. Whatever we do, the Bible says that we should let the peace of God rule our hearts. So if there's no peace there, don't move yet. Even if you're doing the right thing, even if you're justified, if you don't feel the peace of God, don't do it yet. Wait until the peace of God takes control, takes a hold of your heart, before you say something or do something that you can't take back. That is going to be a negative reflection upon the name of Jesus and upon your character. Okay. But that's it. That's all I wanted to share. Again, if you found this video to be helpful, inspirational, motivational, and it helped you to just woosah, right? Just take a step back. Then I would love to hear from you. Make sure that you like the video, and I will see you guys next time.